It's the chaos. This is about the moon not having any gravitational pull whatsoever and not affecting any of the tides. Oh, the special effects are out of the ballpark. Well, folks, I've had a few distractions, and the last one went today. The house inspection, all done and dusted. Had a few things on, missed a few days, but we are back. Oh! There's so much talk of this gravity, right? The moon this, the moon that. Few people have asked me about how to find there is no pattern. People are convinced there is a pattern, and I'll tell you why you're convinced there is a pattern. Because chances are you're looking at tide charts, you're looking at times on the tide charts, which is the logical thing to do, but it is not the correct thing to do. If you want to see what is going on with the moon, you have to do something. And that is, when the moon is above you, only then really, it's above you, you check your local tide chart. It doesn't matter how far away the ocean is. If you're in the middle of some desert somewhere, all you need to do is find the moon in the sky and pick a point. The most logical point is when it is above you. And in that moment, you grab that tide chart for that day and go, right, high tide was at 4 o'clock. The moon's up there at 7, I don't know. Next day, it might be up there at 8 or 7:45 or 9:15. We don't really know, do we, from one day to the next, what the moon's doing. But that is the only way to see yourself. People are believing stuff that's written. What you do is you see the moon in the sky above you. Bang. Mark. Tide chart. Okay. Make a note of the time when it was high tide. Next night, the moon. Bang. When it's above you. Probably a little bit later. Check and see what time the high tide was. Do that for a sequence. Do it for 2 weeks. Bang, bang, bang. And then you'll see the high tides creeping, going back, going forward. There is no pattern. That is the only logical way to do it. You cannot just look at tide charts where it says full moon, new moon, first quarter, third quarter, or second. You need to physically look at the moon and find out exactly what the tide is doing near you. And then the next day, then, and only then will you find a pattern that totally blows the moon having anything to do with the water out of the water. Number one, the top 6 reasons the moon does not drive the tides. No moon water pattern. There is not one. Number 2, the 4 highest tides are all up north. How is that possible? And don't say it's the science, because the science is pretty much Mickey Mouse on this one. It is on all of them. So, what do we have? We have the moon. We have us spinning faster than it's orbiting us, giving it the impression of rising in the east, setting in the west. The moon orbits us along the equator, does it not? So where is the logical place to look for a bulge? Where would be the logical area on a spinning globe as we're being orbited by a moon along the equator line? Where would we find the bulge? You'd think the bulge would be along the equator line, but it's not. Far from it. In fact, there is no bulge. There is no bulge. four highest tides on Earth are Ungava Bay, Nova Scotia. Ungava Bay. No, the Bay of Fundy, sorry. The Bay of Fundy, Nova Scotia. Ungava Bay in Quebec. Number 2 on the list. The Bristol Channel in the UK. The third highest tide on Earth. And then we go over to Alaska. The Cook Inlet. The fourth highest tide, or the fourth biggest run on Earth. And then number 5, we have down in Argentina, Los Gallegos. That is the 5th highest tide on Earth. 4 of them are up north, and up north, and 1 is way down south. It's almost the opposite of a bulge running along the equator. It is, isn't it? If we use, I know, common sense, you must understand that if the moon is orbiting us along the equator, that is where you would think the bulge would be. There is no bulge. The 4 highest tides, Bay of Fundy, Ungava Bay, the Bristol Channel, and the Cook Inlet. Logic? None. None whatsoever. This is not about the science as it is about common sense. Number 3, the tide drops back the way that it came. It rises. This again, it's about using our brains, right? What do we have again? We have the moon spinning around us. As we are spinning, it's orbiting around us. As we're spinning, the tide comes in from, let's say, that direction. And it comes up, it rises, and it stops. It can stop anywhere between 5 minutes and 60 minutes. As that is happening, that doesn't stop, and that doesn't stop. All right, let us know when you're done with the slack tide. Okay, breathe easy. And off they go again, and the tide drops. It doesn't work like that. What we're being told, this, and this, right? An hour. It happens all over the place, right? At different times of day. Now, the common sense thing, it's alarming. It is alarming, right? Where does that suggest a bulge? Tide comes up, gets to the top, stop for 5 minutes, up to an hour, that means U2, and down it goes, the way it came. How can it go back the way it came? Would it not be whoosh? Look, it's one thing after another. That's what it is. One thing after another, isn't it? Let's go up to number 4. Number 4. This is the bulge, the theory, the rubbish that qualified people teach and pass on the knowledge. And now everybody's believing the illogical. Number 4. What is said? That A, we have the sun, the moon, both on the same side, pulling on Earth's water, right? The new moon. So we don't see it because it's in front of the sun. Look, whatever. If it were true that both of those had a gravitational pull, then yes, you think, okay, high tide. B, the first quarter where the moon goes, boom, it's now there. It said that this creates the lowest tides, the neap tides. And it's not that much lower anyway. But there is no logic in this. For those of you who say, why should we trust you over scientists? You should be trusting your own judgment on the information, for crying out loud. Really? Who needs scientists to tell us that this somehow neutralizes that? Or some of it? How? The bulge, it would be there. It would be like a piece of string sagging, wouldn't it? They're not working against each other. They're not working together, but they're not working against each other. So why would the sun neutralize, look, horseradish. Then we have C. Now, we have the opposite of a new moon, the full moon over there. There it is. So now what we have is the moon over here, pulling that way. We have the sun over there, pulling that way. But funnily enough, it's some of the highest tides. How does that work? Once again, logic has gone out of the window. And common sense. You don't need anybody to tell you, surely, that if that's pulling that way and that's pulling that way, it's not going to be the same as that, is it? No. But it passes. It passes. And you have empirical evidence, historical evidence. There is none. Don't forget, folks, the trust of the innocent is the liar's, one of the liar's most valuable tools. It really is, right? Wakey, wakey. Number 5, none of the other bodies of water on Earth, they're all non-tidal. You could go back and forth and say, no, they're not. Yes, they are. No, some people are. They are non-tidal. It's obvious they're non-tidal. For crying out loud, it is not the moon moving the water on Earth. And finally, last, but by no means least, because Newton. He is going to turn out to be the common denominator. He will be. By the left, quick march. Newton is going to turn out to be a common denominator. He is, it's obvious. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction in the vacuum of space. After, an object at rest will remain at rest until pushed. Don't do it. That will remain swinging in monkey fashion until an external force, and we know that's going to be buoyancy and density, acting against it already. It wants to get down because it's denser than the medium it's in. The string, and then it's a long story up to that bit of wood, and then the nail that goes up, and there's another piece. Look, we're just going to focus on down here, okay? This is trying to get down there. It can, but I have to bang it. I don't want to do that because, look, I live on the edge already. There is no evidence of any gravity whatsoever. I'll come back later and we're going to look at, once again, the bowling ball and the feather. Because I have questions. More questions. All right, folks. Good to be back. Laters.